So we'll start at 10:05. Let people join in. Okay, I think let's start. Hello and namaste everyone. Good morning. So give me a second. I'll just start. So hello everyone and welcome to our PM forum session for today. So okay, give me a second. I do not know where my mouse pointer is. Sorry for that. Okay. And sorry for this problem. Sometimes when you're working with two screens, you use your mouse. Okay. Hello and Once again, hello and namaste to everyone, and let's start. So, our today's agenda is uh, a quick introduction. So, we all know PM Forum, what it is, PM Forum is. Let's start. And now, those who are new members who have recently joined, just a quick intro about it. PM Forums basically are a format used by Project Management Institute chapters for discussing and networking among project professionals. So, if you must have seen, we are also looking for speakers, and also if anyone is interested, please to connect with me. I'm Renu Mehta. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I am currently a board member for and handling this project professional development. So, if anyone again is interested to participate as a speaker, please to connect with me. Coming back to PM forums, they are a valuable way to stay up to date on industry trends. Like learn new techniques, build relationships with other project managers and all. So this is about PM forum, and in our PM today's PM forum is handled by Mangesh Kakade. And today, so we had this part one, the foundation layer earlier in the PM pit stop session. Today is actually the execution layer, and so last time in part one, there were certain questions raised. So this time, and we didn't had much of time. So this time, Mangesh has decided that he will try to answer as many queries that were left out on last session. And also, he will be sharing a Google link to you. So just in case, because we have a limited time of 2 hours. So he will be sharing a Google link where you will post the questions, post the session, and then he can in a week's time he will just reply to your questions to your he will provide answers and we will circulate it. So please do keep a check on the chat window as well. So Mangesh will be sharing it in a while. Okay. So let's have a quick introduction of Mangesh before we start. Um he is currently Deputy General Manager at Entrance Sponsor India and also has led major project portfolios at Emerson and L&T. So working across different sectors like oil and gas, water, and industrial automation. He has a wide range of experience, 20 plus years of experience. And what's really impressive in his professional journey, like he holds the complete PMI elite quarter, that PFMP, you must have heard about PGMP, PMP, PMOCP and all. So something this is I feel that very few professionals globally have achieved it. And on top of that, he is also a Sigma green belt. And of course, beyond his credentials, what stands out is his real world experience. So, someone who has worked with gut feeling, over time, built structured decision making systems. And today he is over here to share that journey with all of us. So, today we welcome Mangesh. Hello, Mangesh. Welcome. We welcome you all. And I hand over the session to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So maybe before I start, maybe in the chat box, we have almost 68 people. Quickly, if we can just share if you are the part of a last part one session. So randomly, we can just guess how many people are from the part one, so that it will be easy for me also to navigate the quick summary of the part one in quick 10-15 minutes, and then we can continue on the part two, right? So in the chat box, just say you are a part of the part one. Maybe yes or thumbs up, something you can do. So quickly we can have a feel of last.
So maybe you can just quickly you can give a thumbs up in the reaction,
People are reacting in the
raise
chat box.
the
Yes, yes, yes,
yes,
something.
yes. And just wanted to give, someone has mentioned missed part one. So if you have missed part one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, you will can see the part one as well. So don't worry about it if you have missed it.
The YouTube channel, the part one is already recording has been uploaded by KMI Mumbai chapter, so you can catch up that. But don't worry, I'll just quickly catch up the part one, few topics what we covered in last 1.5 hour during last session. So let me just share. So I believe roughly 50% people are new and 50%
Um, your
50% are
yeah,
the
your voice
old
is
peoples. So as peoples are just
yeah.
presentation. The screen is visible now.
Yes, yes. We can start.
Okay. Fine. Okay, I'm just hiding my self window so that I can focus on the presentations and in between the structured this next 2 hours we have framed like this key next 10-15 minutes I will cover up a quick recap of the part one and then maybe next 1 hour and 1.5 hour we can go through the part two and we will try to have at least 20-minute sessions for the Q&A. Also, I have created one Google Forms. I'll just share in the chat box now. So maybe you can take this link now before I jump into this. Just a moment, give me time. I will just give a link to you in the chat box. This is the link I have shared. This is the Google Form link. So during the session, if you get time, whatever we converse together, you can put your questions. And during the this week time, I will just put it all the questions. So maybe few questions will be repetitive, few questions will be quite engaging. I may need to understand properly, and then maybe I will submit the entire answer session to the renew ma'am, and then she can circulate whosoever has joined of this session, and they can circulate the this questionnaire form to you all. Okay, I'll again share the screen. So let's start. It's okay, Renu ma'am, the screen is visible.
Yes,
Final
please.
presentation
Yes,
form.
yes. Please go
Okay,
proceed.
okay. So last time we started with the part one and part two combination of this series. This series is all about making a decisions in the corporate world and how do we make the decisions, whether we make the decision based on our gut feeling, our conditioning of our human behavior over the period of times, and how do we properly navigate that conditioning, our self upbringing into the corporate world with the proper modeling and proper emotional regulations and proper structures. That was the entire essence. And in the part one, we have covered mainly on some human behavioral aspect, the human personality, and some thinking framework. Okay, so this was the part one. So we started with some story, like when king is having in the dilemma, what he's supposed to do, whether he has to kill a tiger, he has to kill the deer, or he has to do nothing. Doing nothing is also a decision for him. Okay. So killing the tiger is something about the pride. Killing the deer is something about the empathetic approach, and doing nothing is a system approach. He has to give a thought on this. And while making any decisions, we thought we always encountered with some sort of emotions, and these are always the raw emotions. We don't read those emotions properly. So in a systematic or in a structured manner, we are trying to understand which kind of emotions is trigger at the time of decision making, whether those decisions are driven by the fear, whether that decision is driven by the frustration, pride, or urgency. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to put some sort of filter on these emotions, and from this filter, which kind of a business data or which kind of a business signals we can extract. So fear gives us the some sort of signal, okay, there is a risk. Because of the risk, because of the judgment, because of the perceived personality, we always uh, fear to make a decisions. But at the background, if we apply the filter, we always get a business signal, there is a risk. Frustration can be a repeated failure, can be a something the something is not going in my way, the desired way, maybe a system problem, maybe a process problem. So this gives the signal there is a need to restructure the process, restructure the system, restructure the personal ecosystem around you. Pride is always something like that. A veteran of let's say 20 years, 25 years, if professionals, he always take the decision. Okay, 20 साल मैंने ऐसे ही किया है, so I'll always take a decision that way. So this gives the overconfidence in making the decisions. There's always need to have emotional regulations and having the understanding of the ecosystem while making a decision. So these are certain signals we understood with these filters, and then we talked about the fourth quadrant. While making any decisions, we think of these four quadrants, whether that decisions require the agility and alternative, if that decisions require the speed, or that decisions is a reversible or irreversible. If that is irreversible, then speed is not required. Certainty is required. And if that is something reversible, you can take a decision and you can always check the progress of that decisions and you can come back. So likewise, there are the four quadrant. We talked about the risk, whether we are taking the decisions with the calculated risk, or we know if this decision has been taken and there might be some failure. So what kind of failure data I can take it as a data to feed in into my process, or to feed in for my next as a lesson learned to structured my own approach to make similar decision in the similar context. So this is the approach we have to build. And then we talked about the logic and control, what as the data is available, how I'm regulating my own emotions while making the decisions, how I'm handling the crisis. This is all based on the logic and control. And of course, the last we said, what are the decisions you are making in the organization that is building your perceptions over the period of time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you are making certain kind of decisions. Whether the decision is wrong, right, that's indifferent. But if you are making a decisions, people will look at it. See, go persons. He is always decisive. If you are always indecisive, if you are thinking too much analytical, too much data, the personality will be pursued that way. So according to the personality, we then talk about what kind of thinking normally people have. It based on the personality. So we talked about the critical thinking. Critical thinking always gives the approach. Are we right? Means we all think about the evaluating all the information, doing all the arguments, checking all the logic, all the biasing among various opinions. So this approach gives to make us push ourselves in a critical thinking when there is a very complex kind of scenario, various opinions are there, various bias are there. So this is helping us emotionally to keep ourselves aside and think that way. This may be built up over the period of time. Maybe if I am thinking the span of, let's say, 5 years to 20 years of experience. So maybe for the 5 years experience guy, this kind of critical thinking may not be developed, because this get developed over the period of time with the various kind of experience. But this is the time we should know this kind of structure is there. So this kind of various element are there in the critical thinking. So which are those theoretical element? At least I should know, okay, if this is the situation, my thought process should go in that direction. I should not think the traditional way, what I have been conditioned over the period of my entire career. No, it's this. whole session or whatever the coaching we do in our professional journey, this is only to modulate our lesson learned, to upskill our skill, just to see ourselves we are upskilling in the corporate ladder with reference to the age and the experience we are gaining in that particular domain, industry, and function. And that is how we all are here. Means we keep on doing the various networking session. We keep on talking on various corporate trainings, so that it keep us the momentum for the learning and keep us doing what we have not been taught in the our degree or college, or what we have been generally learning through our ecosystems, right? So these are certain frameworks about the design thinking and system thinking. Again, design thinking gives you the proper approach ki how design thinking mainly about certain about the new product development or new strategy development, develop something new. And system thinking, again, the very big picture kind of approach. Always don't think about the my department or what's in it for me. As you grow in the organization, we have to always push ourselves to think as a person who think about the big picture always. Don't get bogged up with the small issues, risk. Always those issues, risk has to be seen on the bigger landscape level. So this approach will help as we grow in the organization, we grow in the career. All these critical thinking and all these three elements is required. As critical thinking, I said, it's a very skeptical, evidence-driven decision. Design thinking is more about the empathetic approach. System thinking is more about the holistic, pattern thinking, long-term visions, and the big picture in the organization. So always three element help us to build the decision-making approach. Uh, Anyone is not important. Having all three is quite difficult in as a human being, but we should know in this context, in this particular situation, how I should think. That is the only thing we have to decide. Going forward, we quickly touch upon the various type of personality. There are the driver kind of personality, expressive kind of personality. So this personality is basically built as with conditions from our family, from our schools, from our early careers, and this keep evolving. And as we said, all these trainer coaches says ki after 30-35 years, our personality is built up that way. If I am a driver person, I will be always dominant. I will always look for the result. I will always take a faster decisions which can have more risk. The expressive people, they will always think about the people relations. They will always try to balance the decisions and the people approach. Analytical people, they will always go for the compliance check, too much data. They will be too much indecisive unless and until they are too much confident this it not lead to the any kind of risk. Amiable people, they will always says, no, I first prefer the relations. I don't want to break the relations. So in any kind of corporate meeting or certain decisions are there, if certain conflicts is happening or certain argument are happening, these people should always try to be quiet. They don't raise their opinions. So these are the various kind of personality, and we cannot change our personality. Whatever the personality we have built up, this will go along. But in a corporate world, we always say ki, try to modulate as per the context requirement. We have to learn this kind of approach, and we have to consciously apply this. So there is a framework lab, learn, apply, and practice. So whatever we are learning, we have to keep applying this, and we have to keep practicing this. Otherwise, whatever we learn, it will be just vanish. So with all the combination of personality, thinking patterns, the decisions, this one table we derived, driver people will be always do more critical thinking, and they will be more into speed and actions. Expressive people, they will only people and momentum related. They will also go with the data filtering and logic means gut feeling logic. So that is the combination of the people which is best. If we have all the three kind of thinking, this is the best. But as I said, ki, we some person may be having a dominant in one kind of thinking. Some person may be a very critical thinker, so he may be a dominant person, or he may be a too much analytical person. But the concept is we should know ourselves, the how I think. And there are various this kind of online tests are available there. You can go and you can check okay, what kind of personality I am. So this is all about the part one we talked about. Now we'll talk about the part two. So part one is mainly focusing about the raw structure of the emotions, people personality, the thinking pattern, and how as a human being we evolved. But part two is more about the structural and mathematical modeling of our decisions. In particular context, what kind of thought process we should apply. Knowing the fact that okay, I'm a driver person or I'm an analytical person, still, how do I use this kind of model consciously, not the way we think over the period of our lifespans, maybe 30 years, 35 years, I have been doing same way. Uh, but this may not be possible ki when one particular context, my thought process is the same. I will not speak, or I will be too much aggressive, or I will make a decision based on my gut feeling. So we have to adapt the approach on the different models. So I'll talk these four different model. There is a combination of the model with the different context of the situation, and then we will see some real life example with each context. And by summary, we'll see how this all these four levels. Like at the end of the session, we will say, okay, there are many slides, many models, many abbreviations. This may not be possible to memorize, or this may not be possible to apply when the situation is that okay, decision has to happen in 10 minutes, or decision has to happen in the boardroom when the 10 people are sitting. We cannot open any slide and PDF and then say, okay, we have to do this. This has to be culturally built up, right? So by end, I'll share some sort of questionnaires also how this can be applied. So let's start model, the earn and the
Uh, I think, yeah, I think there is an issue with Mangesh. Mangesh, I think that we lost you in between.
it's okay. Just a moment. It's got.
Mm, your voice is a little breaking.
I'm back now. I'll just reshare some network. Okay. Just a moment. I'll reshare the screen. Okay.
Uh, so if you have any questions, please do type in your questions in the chat window. And I think there is an issue Google with the Google link provided by Mangesh. So I will provide you the new link. Please hold on for a while. Uh, yeah, Mangesh, you're back. Akhilesh, I
Yes.
think you have
So
raised your
meantime,
hand.
anyone will
Please do
share the
type in
link
your
if there
chat.
is an issue.
Yeah, there's an issue with the link on with your Google form. I think the people are not able to open it. So I have quickly made the Google form and I will just share the link. You can continue with your session. Just
Okay.
for
Fine.
yeah.
Fine. Fine. Fine.
Yeah, and just one second, sorry to interrupt. I think there is a question. This Google form is in case if we miss out, any questions to answer. So this link you can save it for the later, and you can type in your questions, and Speaker Mangesh would again answer your queries. So over to you, Mangesh. Continue.
Okay. Uh, Sorry for interruptions, maybe a network glitch. So let's start with the fresh. So this model is something about the combination of the earn and rate PPT. So maybe this abbreviation is just frame to memorize the letters, and uh, so that easily we can recollect those words. So as a concept, the earn model is something. The vertical line is shows the filter of a escalation. How the escalation happens in the organization, and the horizontal line is shows about the some sort of a process engine, how the process has been derived in the organization and how it's needs to be monitored and governed. So the combination, what it's supposed to say, ki if any process has been laid in the organization, the process has to work at least 80 to 90% as it is, what has been laid, what governance has been framed. So 10% can be escalation. That an escalation will always have certain sort of framework, certain sort of threshold, ki how this escalation will be handled. But if this 80% or 90% is not working, and always there is a more than 20%, 30% escalations are coming upward, means there is a problem in the process. And we'll see how this can be balanced equilibrium of both do. In a normal life, we always apply the Pareto rules, 80, 20, 80%. So in any kind of a work culture, 80% will always will go as a flow, whatever the SOPs has been defined, procedure has been defined, and 20% will be always some sort of urgency, or any risk escalations, or any sudden unpleasant news. This can be addressed, but this has to be proper framework how it needs to be addressed. So if we see the different four gauges, this is the earn four gauges, and each letter carries its own independent meaning. So E stand for evidence, A stand for attempt made, R stand for rising impact, and N for no noise. So let's take a simple example. If one junior person is making a escalation to his director level guy, okay, this has been not working, something like that, and I want to address this. So as a parameter, there has to be some evidence in the form of data, evidence in some sort of a complaint from customer, or evidence some sort of a event log from the software. So it has to be recorded in the form of event, in the form of data. Then at a level or at a working level, whether to address that particular escalation, what kind of attempt has been made. Without making an attempt, if team members are coming directly, "Okay, you solve this," we don't know. So this is again, we are bringing the culture, everything, every decision will be taken upwards. We will not touch any kind of decisions. No. So we have to provide certain sort of a empowerment to the team. Okay, within this threshold, you have to make a decisions. If this threshold is not at evil level, then those kind of escalation risk can be passed upwards. But at least we have to keep increasing that threshold at the ground level. As we say, as we grow in the organization, we have to always delegate to the team, delegate empowerment to the team members so that they can do their own work. Everything need not to be on your table. Third is something a rising impact. Rising impact is if particular escalations happen and you assess if this particular escalation or particular situation is not making any impact with respect to the organization strategies or organization objectives. Maybe you can sleep on to make a decision for certain time. Maybe there may not be need to make a quick decisions, but that assessment has to happen. It based on your risk, it's based on your experience, it's based on the input provided to you as a in the form of data. And finally, no noise is something if repetitive similar kind of pattern is happening, this means there's a problem in the your processes. This means either peoples are not empowered enough to make the decisions, or people are not enough capable to drive those kind of actions. Because we know corporate politics, every situation is wrapped under the crisis, and it get beautifully manipulated on the upper level people's okay, this is the risk or this is the escalations. So at the both angle, we have to understand the peoples who are, let's say, who are providing the informations and who are making the decisions. They need to understand this will be evaluated that way. The person who is providing the information, he need to also understand okay, I need to provide the data, I need to provide the a certain amount of the effort okay, to attain this risk or to attain this concern, I have made this attempt. And he has to also give some sort of a assessment ki if we do not address this, this will be impact, or this impact may not be next 1 week or 15 days, but what kind of impact will happen, whether what kind of window we have to make a decisions, whether that decision has to happen in 1 day, that decision has some room to assess some sort of a collaboration inputs from the various stakeholders. So that assessment or that input has to come from the down, and this will build your capability or competency and your own perception in the organization ki what kind of escalation you are making in the upper level. And at the same time, the person who are sitting at the decision level, they should also know ki this is the model. If something coming on his table, he should also cross check based on the data evidence, based on the what kind of effort, what kind of options ABC he has applied. And if that is everything is exhausted, then it's the time to make a decisions. And every time if this pattern is happening, the people who are working at the working level, people who are operating level, we have to feed that, okay, once this is done, a lesson is learned, this has to be bring back to the process, so that the similar kind of issues, similar kind of escalation, similar context will not come in the process. So this model is basically to filter out the noise, basically to make some governance while making the escalations. So in the organizations, we have seen there are various approvals. Checklist has been provided. Okay, below this threshold level, this person will sign. Above this threshold level, this person will sign. Or maybe if we have to write some emails one on one, so if certain kind of email has to be written to very senior level, so they says, ki, okay, I will not write that kind of communication. You write. So these are the framework basically has to make in at the SOP level and the procedure level, and this has to be balance between the both the working team and the people who are making a decision. So both will be in the ecosystem. Ki they knows ki, okay, these are escalation has come, what kind of approach has to be done. And this is not a one level strategy, means this will be a become a ecosystem in the organizations. So maybe first 6 months if a new team has been formed, so we have to educate within the team, this model will be followed. Everyone will understand the expectations from the downward, and down people will also understand the expectation from the upwards, who are making a decisions. So people who are the information provider, they will understand, okay, I have to provide the information that way. And the people who are making the decisions, they will understand, okay, this information, this escalation has come to me. Now what I'm supposed to deliver. So if we take this earn model in some filter form, so what exactly we are doing in the gate one, we are removing the human factor. Whatever the narratives are being set in terms of escalations or in terms of the information which is wrapped under the crisis sugarcoating, both end we have to just see ki, are we removing the human factor, are we removing the frustration of the people, are we removing the any kind of manipulative behavior in that escalations. So first we need to understand that factor. Second, whether that particular decision is aligned with the strategic factor or not. Let's say ki, some sort of a ROI decisions or some sort of a customer importance, or maybe few numbers in the organizations. Maybe one particular customer is making a too much of a escalation, and this may not be immediately address within next 1 week or 10 days. We can have certain amount of time to address that customer, because at that moment we may have certain other priorities on our plate, and strategically it may not be required. So that balancing we have to see out. And here we are not going with the human factor, we are just seeing the strategic factor, what is to be done at that moment. And always third is the structural factor, key what kind of resolution on what kind of failures we are taking into account. If certain going wrong in terms of decisions, are we prepared for that or not? So these are some sort of a filtration model which gives a structural approach to apply the earn model. So this is a vertical filter of this combination. Now we'll talk about the horizontal engine, about the process. So in the organizations, there are three main parameters when we develop the process: people, business processes, and the technology. Around these three, everything is a balance. Sometimes people are not competent, sometimes processes are too much stringent to follow, and sometimes technology doesn't support. And out of these, if anything is not in the equilibrium, this red R model will be always a problem. If something is not working, always there is a escalations coming on your desk. So the combination of these two, what they suggest, whenever there is a process in the organization, reorganize all the assumptions in that process, whether that is really required, that stringentness. Like many times we see in the organization too many Excel sheets, too many columns, too many row needs to be filled in as a part of a review process. So as a superior, as a persons who are doing the information or the process people who are doing the review part, we have to reorganize the assumptions. Is this really required? Is this really serving the purpose, or we are just making the process and this doesn't helping as a overall outcome? So that has to be continuously reorganized. The assumption has to be challenged, and this entire engine has to be really keep running time to time by assessing all these nine parameters. Again, what kind of risk is there, what kind of data we are trying to draw from the this process, whether this data will really help us to draw the conclusion, or we are just satisfying the stakeholders. Like any we are habitual कि एक मंडे मीटिंग करते हैं, फिर मंडे मीटिंग में डिस्कस करेंगे फ्राइडे मीटिंग का एजेंडा क्या होगा, फिर नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट वीक का और मंडे डिसाइड करेंगे लास्ट मंडे के मीटिंग में क्या मिनट्स थे. So that kind of data we are sometime built just to satisfy कि हाँ इस stakeholder को satisfy करना है, ये report निकालेंगे मीटिंग से and just submit. So these kind of assumptions we have to really draw from this kind of process. What kind of reports supposed to be extracted from this process? What kind of stakeholders are really required? So these are basic assumptions, and people, process, and entirely it has to be aligned with the strategy. Means whatever the process has been laid down, it's supposed to be connected with the business strategy, whether we are fulfilling or not, or we are only uh, keeping ourselves busy in the weekly meetings, quarterly meeting, and at the end of the quarter we see कि, okay, we have done 4 meetings in the quarter but outcome is zero. The process has been set but nobody followed the process, or process is there but people are not competent, but people and process are there but maybe software is not supporting to entire process. We have seen the combination of everything. So these two models says कि when you are thinking, when you are developing the process, have all these 7 8 parameters in your mind, and at the same time build process considering कि our model should fit your process कि 80% of the operation, 80% of your operational stuff should follow, and there should not be any kind of escalation. Escalation will only a threshold 10 to 20%, which can be addressed with a different kind of mechanism. But if this process is not helping you, and every time you are just doing the firefighting, you are just attending the 50% of the escalations, you are just running all the projects on the fire, this is something, the problem with respect to the system. And this really needs the attention from the topwards. What kind of process we have set? There may be some problem in the business process, people competency, maybe a technology, or maybe some sort of a SOPs we have driven ki, okay, we need a weekly meeting, we need a quarterly review, we did that report, we want that kind of dashboard. Maybe unwanted stuff where we are pushing on the people which not supporting. So this is something about the rate PPT model. So combination of these two is something our model help you to reach the escalation proper filter to the leadership level, and rate PPT helps to balance the process. Our model help to understand the escalation through the governance mechanism, and rate PPT helps to whichever the process is there, it is in its momentum is there, its equilibrium is there. And from the project point of view, from project management point of view, earn is always help you to understand the hygiene and the noise management in terms of the escalation, and the rate PPT is always help to properly design the process, SOPs, framework, and it get matured enough day by day. People's in the ecosystem, they understand once the lesson has been learned, put back into the process so that similar kind of escalation, similar kind of noise will not happen to the senior level. So combination of these two is helping to develop some process, to develop some operational parameters, to understand the threshold of the filter, and this has to be developed as a framework because this is just giving the directions. There can be various kind of framework SOPs at different kind of department level. So purchase may have a different kind of framework, projects may have different kind of framework, logistic people, marketing people, they can have different kind of framework. But this model will give a direction. Okay, we have to use a combo of this model. Alone will not help. So let's take some sort of example in the manufacturing plant. The operation are happening and one particular machine is having some sort of a issue, maybe some defects are there, and the site supervisor complains to the operational head the overall production is 2% down, and because of this particular machine. But this is just the verbal inputs. So as a plant head, if I would have been plant head, I would have asked it, give me a log data of the last 3 days, 1 week. What is the conclusion you have made, on what is the basis of conclusion this particular machine is having a certain problems? Because as a plant head, he is not supposed to do the corrections. He will always ask what kind of corrections you have done to address this particular problem, because it's his responsibility to address at his level, and if something is not happening, bring it to the next level as an escalation when the threshold is above his limit of decisions. But if attempts are not made, the impact has not been informed to the top level, it's just the noise. If you say he comes with the data, okay, there inspection has been done of this machine, there is some sensor is defective because that sensor particular production is continuously carrying giving some error, and this error is jumping from 2% to 3%, and the trend is showing me if we do not address this particular sensor error in 1 week time, this machine will go in shutdown, and after 8 days there will be production stop. So if this kind of assessment, this kind of some um, chronology is presented to the top level, they will understand okay, this is the problem, the already attempt has been made, now next level can be done. They will not start from the zero. He will not give the instruction, okay, you first check this and that, and then you come with the inputs. Again, we are here in the corporate, we have to empower the peoples. We have to push them their own responsibility. They have to do their own work and come with the escalations. Because the process said ki preventive maintenance, during the preventive maintenance, if this sensor is showing some deflection, there may be some spare part available of that particular sensor, he can replace as a process of the preventive maintenance. But he might not be following the SOPs. He might be assuming okay, this sensor is in the fault, and I have to just report. But there is a SOP is already available in the manufacturing plant. If during the preventive maintenance activity you find out that this particular sensor is not working, what's supposed to do, right? So this is the combination of the process and the escalations. Next, we'll talk about some different model. This is the WRAP plus WAM framework. Just to understand and memorize the combination, WRAP we can easily can memorize, and WAM is S. Maybe you can pronounce the silent, so that key WRAP plus WAM is the combination of the two different model to be applied to certain context. Now this model is to be applied when the context is when there is a multiple opinion, multiple bias of the decisions, right? Like certain vendor needs to be finalized for one particular application, and there are the various stakeholders involved. technical team, engineering team is involved, project team is involved, maybe logistic team involved, or maybe purchase team involved. Everybody will have their own um, interest. This decision should have been made, right? So during this kind of situation, these model help us to navigate, to keep away ourselves from the emotion and apply some sort of a structural approach when we have to make a decisions during in the biasing environment. So when we structure this kind of situation with all the stakeholders, all stakeholder has to bound to make a decision based on this structure. Nobody will deny, nobody will overpower, nobody will have push their own authority. Okay, I will go with my way of decisions. Okay, so a wrap model is something about the qualitative shield, and the WAM model is something about the quantitative approach. It has some mathematical modeling. So let's work out the WAP model. WAP model is each word, as I said, each word will have its own significance. The W stand for the wider options. When there are the let's we run through the same example. Conference meeting is happening and there is a decision is supposed to happen. Ki one particular technology vendor has to be chosen bit among the three, and there may be a 4 or 5 different stakeholder in the conference room, and they have to decide what to be done. Purchase guy will always come with the option ki, this is the one who is the L1 bidder and he fulfill everything. Technology people will always say this L2 vendor software, and I will go with him. I will not compromise with the quality. Logistic guy will say ki, no, this guy may be located in the location X, and I want delivery or the integration or anything at location Y. It's not possible for me. I cannot have this kind of various transactions for location X and location Y. There kind of various kind of opinion will come during these discussions. So how do we approach to make one decisions, right? So maybe at the decision makers who may be having authority to make this decision based on this input. So whether we have making the options wider, if purchase guy is only coming with the two vendor, whether we have given the wide options to him, if technology from the technology aspect point of view, engineering teams only saying ki, I want a vendor X, whether vendor Y and Z vendor, whether they have comply all the 9 parameter or not, or only they are complying only 4 parameter. This kind of assessment will always happen. So whatever the options are available, maybe these options has to be run, and we have to run the test on all these assumptions. Let's say ki I choose the option A. What can go wrong with the option A? So maybe all 4 people may have some opinion. If I choose option B, what kind of good can happen and what kind of wrong can happen? So what we are doing, we are just simulating the options here. If I choose this option, what can go wrong and what can go good? And at the same time, we have to train people. Let's say ki logistic guy, we have to ask him, you be in the shoes of a engineering guy and just think of, just because your convenience, you don't want the transition from the location X to location Y. But if I choose vendor Z and he is not able to perform technical front point of view, what will be the repercussion in these decisions? Right. So we have to also train the peoples to attain their own logic from the different angle, to put in different person's shoes and think from their perspective. Many times while growing the organizations, we grow in one particular domain, we grow in the vertical functions, and our mind conditions to think that way. That is okay, because you are gaining uh, the competency of that domain, that functions that is required to grow in the ladder. But at the same time, if we too much carry that domain expertise, when this kind of scenario happens in the organization, when the opinion has to frame out, and if we keep only telling in one directions, people will only perceive कि ये बंदा ना अपने बारे में सोचता है, means he only think about own decisions, he just push one direction. And this kind of environment, then next time people will try to avoid you, or maybe they will not weight your opinions. And we have seen, the senior professional may vouch me here, we have seen this kind of perception happen in the organization. If we just stick to our own opinion, if we do not give the appreciation to the other people's opinion, and if we do not put ourselves in their shoes and think from their angle, what could go wrong and what could not happen. Okay, so this is something, a quality approach, and whatever the approach is we are selecting, be prepared to be wrong. If this is going to be wrong, how we can come out of this wrong situation. So if four peoples are there, we have to just buy in. Okay, if this goes good, we are going to take this decision. If this is going to be wrong, maybe we can have option A and B. Out of this, we can choose, so that we can buy in everybody's consent. Ki, okay, with everybody's consent, we are choosing the option A. And if this good goes, okay. If this good goes not, what can be option A and B? So this is something a qualitative. We are not making any mathematical modeling on this, but the WAM model is more about the having the quantitative analysis. So we talked about the making the options wider. We talked about the testing the assumptions. We talked about the putting ourselves in other shoes and see from the distance how the decisions can look like for the person A, for the person B, for the person C. And if I am a person Z, how their opinion will frame. And with all the combination of the three, four different opinions, what can go wrong and whether we all are prepared for that wrong. So everybody has to take the accountability. If something goes wrong, it's a collaborative decisions. If something is go wrong, it should not be blame on the person A only. If you have only make a decisions. So with the same similar kind of a qualitative aspect, this WAM aspect is giving a more weightage in terms of the mathematical modeling. So what it does basically, no, we are setting some sort of a criteria and we are setting some sort of weight to the each criteria. And then we will arrive what decisions can be made with the proper polling mechanism. Like we do the WhatsApp poll is something yes no options and may not know. So three four options we go, and that kind of polling we do arrive at some yes and no decisions. Okay, and in that yes and no, we have only qualitative approach, yes or no, only digital, 0 or 1. We do not have a approach of quantitative mechanism. But this WAM model gives the approach with the quantitative way. So let's say ki we have three, four decision has to have make, and for that decisions, there may be a three, four various angles, and it has to be correlated with the resource or something. So for the example, I have taken this table, but practically you can take any kind of combinations. Maybe on the column side, you can take the various stakeholder, finance, purchase, logistic, somebody. And on the option side, you can take technical viability. Then you can say logistic convenience. Third, you can take um, pricing part. Fourth, we can take something. And then we can map everybody's opinion with respect to some percentage, one in the rating of 0 to 10. And we can always give some sort of percentage weightage to each kind of parameter. And with the combination of all these, let's say final what score happens, and that score will be decisions. Nobody can deny, okay, I have not uh, come in the pooling mechanism for this kind of. And nowadays with the AI, we can already make some sort of a Google form and we can distribute prior to the meeting. Like instead of coming in the meeting and making some decisions and having an argument, whenever this kind of decision happen, let's say five stakeholders are required and we are giving a meeting agenda. Okay, we are going to talk in this meeting. We are going to select this, and and this would be the framework, and you have to make your own polling based on the 0 to 10 criteria. So maybe initial kind of explanation can be given in the meeting, and then we can run this poll in the meeting, and we can just ask. And maybe after this, we you may have a debate ki why you are given nine to these parameters, why you are giving a two to this particular component. This discussion can happen to understand the perception on that particular stakeholder, why he has this kind of opinion. That's better. But after all, 4 5 parameters has been plugged in, the data has been prepared, final calculated score will come, and everybody has to then agree, because we are saying ki we are making a model, we are having consent on this. And if this something your SOP or procedures is not being agreed, there is a no buy-in for this kind of concept. So this is something at departmental level. So it's always has to be laid down on the departmental level or at the organization level who are making the processes. So many times in the organizations, this kind of model doesn't follow. The manipulation happens based on the authority. Manipulation happens based on the urgency. But this has to be practice. Maybe we do not practice, but gradually, slowly, for the small decisions, maybe just to having a internal discussions on selection of some sort of a small decisions, we can start applying this. People will enjoy. People will say, "Okay, okay, let's run through this kind of model when bigger stake will be involved, and people will be tuned to that. Just bringing the people and dumping this model, people will not understand. So gradually and slowly, we have to feed this kind of model in the organizations. Whosoever are a decision maker, they have to first train the people how they need to apply this model, how they need to train the people in the thought process, and this will go along then, right? So this is about the BRAP and WAM model. So the combination, what it gives, it tells you when you apply the ROC model, you may be solving the wrong problem with the greater efficiency, or maybe because of the somebody's influence, you may be saying yes. And in the WAM model, because we are doing the scores, this will give the consistency in the ecosystem to rate certain decisions with respect to the various biasing, and people will get tuned to this. Maybe for the initial level of a smaller decision, we can go with the WRAP model, just a qualitative assessment like we do in the risk analysis. In the risk analysis, we have qualitative risk analysis, and then we have quantitative. For the smaller scale risk, we always just think qualitatively, what kind of risk is this? And if there are the quantitative mechanism has to happen, we have low, high, medium kind of risk, and then we give some sort of a numbering to that, and we arrive at some risk score to that. The similar way, this is the mathematical approach. For the qualitative way, have the cross collaboration within the teams and make them model explain to them, have the buy-in for this model, and gradually and consistently this model will be developed in the ecosystem, in the organizations, in the department, and people will say ki, okay, whenever biasing is there, we have to go with this kind of model. So uh, there kind of any kind of authority biasing or urgency biasing or manipulation of certain opinions, this will be always avoided with this kind of combination of the models. So far so good, Renu madam. I'm just taking pause. maybe somebody can thumbs up in between, so I can feel okay, everything is going right pitch
I
and
think
momentum
yes, yes.
before
I think
we.
you missed some thumbs ups earlier, but yeah. And we have two queries. We'll just check it after that after a while. So please continue.
Okay, okay. So almost 11 o'clock. So next within next half an hour, 40 minutes, I will cover the session, and then we will have some 20 minutes for the Q&A part. Okay. So
Yeah, yeah, sure.
okay. So let's move on to the next model. So we talked about the first model, ARM and rate VPT. This gives you the escalation and the process combination. Second model gives you the decision when we need to made, when there is a biasing, when there is a manipulation, when there are the various opinions. How do we address that kind of model? And this is not something for the one person, because one, let's say I'm a PM and I have to push this discussions in the conference meeting. No, first it has to be bring into the process at a department level, organization level. People has to make aware, people has to make a trend, and people's expectation has to be set across all the stakeholders how we are going to have this approach. And as we always says, some people will always resist, some people will say no, we don't have to this, will not go with that, or some people will just be silent. But gradually and slowly, uh, people who are at the experience range of let's say below 10 years, they are learning this approach, how the high stake decisions being made. And when I'll be sitting at a 15 year experience, I have to make a decision, so I need to know what kind of approach has to follow. The people who are at the 15 years experience level, because they are making a decisions and they need to know what kind of questionnaire should go at a down level. So both the equilibrium has to fix this, because if certain departmental head you are becoming and there is no process, you should know what kind of process has to be followed. So you should know the red ppt approach, the process, people, technology has to be in the consideration when you are developing certain sort of a procedure, certain SOPs. And at the same time, while you are developing SOPs, you should also making a threshold framework how escalation will happen when you are operating through this process, through this framework. So the combination of this will help us to make a structured thinking when while operating in the corporate world. And this will keep building a more competence level when we deal with the complexity, complex decisions, different kind of personalities, different kind of favoritism, different kind of manipulation on decisions. So we can keep away ourselves from the emotions, and we can uh, always think from this structure point of view. Okay, so let's going forward. The next combination of the model is the speed and ODA. Speed and ODA is a combination wherein this is always used when we don't have any kind of benchmark to operate. Let's say I have joined some new department and there are the chaotic processes are there. Or let's say one particular very big project has been launched, and maybe the project having a 3 4 years timeline, and we are not sure what kind of project charter has to be prepared, what kind of business case has to be developed, and what kind of stakeholders are there. So everything is not something to be referred. As we in the organization, there are always some references are available. We always go with the lesson learned, we always go with some manuals, we learn to the manuals, we learn to the peoples and the process, and we do our day-to-day activities. But these models help us when we don't have any benchmark or any reference to operate. So let's take up an example of let's say one particular organization is in the launch mode, and they are developing certain new product for particular territory. And this new product is to be catered to a certain application in the industry. And this is how and one particular new team has been developed for these new projects. and there is no reference for them. How do we operate? The organization is just as this new department has been set up, new product is supposed to be launched, and you have to do the marketing, you have to do the business, and this is the kind of structure we have. So what speed and ODA will help in this kind of situation? So speed says simplify the process. Don't think about the bigger picture at that moment. Don't think about the complexity. Okay, we have to make this kind of revenue. We have to make this kind of specification of the product. This has to be tested during this timeline. So there may be a various kind of milestone are there, and in the jugglery of the milestone, we may not able to simplify the process, and everything will look like a chaos then. So here we have to understand when this kind of context situation is comes in front of us, and this normally will come with the senior people because they have been appointed as some sort of a leader of that particular infrastructure or that kind of domain, and they have to lead that. And if they don't have some sort of a proper structured approach, ki how do I set up the process, or how do I create the milestone, and how do I justify the milestone to the higher management, ki, okay, this milestone are practical, this milestone are not feasible, everything will be chaos and everything will be questions. So here the priority should be a purpose, not the speed, not the pace. So purposefully there is the two different words are there, speed and space. Pace is something which has to be a velocity, and speed here just to memorize ourselves, just to understand this has been abbreviated in these 5 letters. Speed means simplify, prioritize, enable, empower, and deliver. So with respect to each letter, this shows you simplify the entire end-to-end process. Start doing making small milestone which is achievable, like we always have smart goals in organization in our KPIs. This is okay, you create a small goal. The similar way we have to create a small milestone when we don't know what kind of complexity will arrive. Just create a small milestone. Out of this milestone, always approach the Pareto approach, ki 20% task will drive my 80% result, and this needs the your expertise in that particular domain, in that particular industry, in that particular functions, because you have to identify which task has to prioritize during the initial days, which will drive the 80% of result. So maybe when you create a blueprint for next, let's say 1 year or 2 years, so which are the initial tasks which needs to be attained in next 1 month, next 2 months, next 3 months, which will help to drive the 80% result of the overall objectives. And when we are preparing this kind of modeling or this kind of thought process, this will always need an experience. So, but this will give a structure ki out of this 20 list priority, I should know ki these 5 priorities will help me to target in next first 2 months, which will drive my 80% of result. So to arrive at these decisions, the structural thinking will help. Now, enabling is something about, let's say I have 2 months, what I needs, what are the enabler we have to provide, whether we need the resources, we need some hardware, some sort of a procedure, some sort of a collaboration among the teams, which is required to enable to execute these first 5 tasks in next 2 months. Once it's peoples are there, enabler are there means the hardware is provided, infrastructure is there. There is no blocker in terms of the support. Next comes the empower. Whether we have the proper resources, proper competency, and proper the trust model means we know what to be done. Then just trust how it will be done in the initial days. This will help to gain the momentum to slow progress on those tasks. If in initial days itself we start questioning how, why. So initial level, the friction will be too much and the chaotic will be happen ki this will not be controlled within next 2 3 months timeline. So always with the new kind of setup, new kind of project launching, new kind of something we are building wherein we don't have any benchmark, empower the people and just trust the people with their how. Don't push too much on the why part. And then whatever they are delivering, just have a focus on the matrix, not on the efforts. Let's say ki this particular task supposed to complete in 1 month time, but this is what completed in the 1.5 months time. So 1.5 months time is a achievement. So effort is need not be question. Outcome should be celebrated. Outcome may have delivered within the 50 days against the 30 days, but still it's okay to start up the new momentum and to build the confidence in the people, to give the confidence to the upper level ki, okay, whatever initial task we have decided, this has started delivering the result. So this speed is something, make a pause, make a small priorities, enable the peoples and start delivering the small, and then put back into the process. Along with the speed, we have another model, ODA. ODA is the modified version of the PDCA cycle. We all know PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act. So if we add agility in the PDCA, so PDCA is a mostly a very slow process. Means we do certain planning, we act, we control, and then we take actions. So this goes that cycle way. But here there is no agility. Means if certain action has to be taken, then we will again go back to the planning, and then we'll see how the result are happening, whether it need to put back into the process or not. Because in the today's AI world, maybe going with the PDCA at every momentum and every aspect may slow down us. So this ODA cycle, it help us if some urgency comes at that moment. Like we are talking about the speed, we are talking about the new launching, we are talking about the new processes. Let's say with the same example, the new product has supposed to be launched, and certain specification need to be tested. So maybe as a prototype, is always say you push one particular product, test it, launch it, see the pattern of the result, and then decide, and then act. So whatever the process has to be established, small prototype, what you are doing, just put it, make a decision faster, and start acting on those decisions. And when a certain sort of a urgency come, a certain sort of escalations come, look at those urgency escalation from this model. Do not go back to the loop of making a new processes. Okay, we will reinvent everything new from the beginning. Whatever comes at that particular juncture, when we are setting some new process and at the fourth month certain things are not working, so we will have always option key, what are the pattern, what we have observed and what we have decided. If that is not working, just go back. And if something new trigger has been coming in between, how do we approach that trigger? Means don't keep it there itself, just act there and there itself, so that the process momentum will be going on. We will not wait to momentum for that particular applications. So contractually, what I'm trying to explain you, PDC and ODA is some sort of a ODA is gives the more agility for making a decisions, and again it's a ecosystem. When you are making the process, there's a momentum has been built up, and certain things are not going good or may not be going as desired. So instead of reinventing the entire wheel from the beginning, just address that particular escalation, that particular problem, understand the pattern, and put back into the process instead of again starting from the zero. So this will help to build a momentum of the your speed model, and ODA model is supporting okay, whatever the process have been defining, whatever the momentum is there, this is complementing to each other to put back all the lesson learned, to put back all the failure data into the system and start reacting faster rather than waiting. Okay, let this particular milestone get completed and then we will see the result and we'll go back to the process one again from the starting. So this may not help because if we let me take an example of a Geo 4G. When Geo 4G has been launched, what they have done, they have launched in some territory first, maybe territory 1, 2, 3, and they just observe. And once the results are there, then they launch another a prototype on some bigger scale. Everything has been set. They have launched certain scheme on the policy making. Okay, incoming call will be free, outgoing call will be. So this goes at a prototype. And as a project manager, we know there are the various kind of methodologies available, like waterfall, hybrid, and all those stuffs. So from all this concept, this ODA model is said that whenever some new processes, new projects have been observed, allow your processes to build up, take a momentum, but don't stuck with that momentum. Okay, everything needs to be restart from the beginning. You have to be agile. You have to understand the situation, put back all the data into the process and move on. So combination will always help us more agile. At the same time, we are building the process. So if we go with the combination of this, as I said, speed will always help making a structured approach, and ODA will always help if anything crisis is there, anything is unplanned is there, we have to put ourselves in the both the model and move faster way. So last model, I'll tell about the bridge and the four deck model. This is the very high level of a model which are used in the very high stake environment. When high stake environment, I mean say ki uh, organization is building a new plan, let's say $1 million in the territory A, and they have to decide some blueprint for that particular new sections. Some business case has to be presented. So it has a lot of parameters involved whenever you are preparing some sort of a program charter, project charter for all this stuff. And this comes with the seniority. Like if any project director guy, he has been assigned to some new plant, or he has been assigned to monitor the new development of the plant. So this is not something to develop the organization procedure. This is not something to operate within the organization. This is something to operate internally, externally. So many pestle parameters are there, so many stakeholders are there, so many risks are involved there. So how do we handle this kind of decision modeling when there are a lot of people are involved, lot of data with respect to the risk, with respect to the complexity are involved. How do we approach this? And this is not quite simple, but this approach is helping us to give the thought process when we are approaching this kind of level, and we have to make this kind of decisions at that level. So let me just quickly figure it out, the each letter how this is there. And again, just for the memorization purpose, bridge, the word is formulated just to memorize, but actual the abbreviation is code like the BID, and then next slide is something the RGE. The evaluation is something different with respect to each letter, but just for the memorization, just for the understanding concept, because this letter will help us to memorize the later on. Because I also recollect, okay, bridge model, but may not be, I need not to understand ki, sequentially ki it goes like this. When I understand, ki, okay, I have to apply the bridge thinking in this kind of preparing the new business case. So this helped me. Okay, I have to consider all these different parameter when this particular thought process has to apply. So this stands for, this goes that way. We stand for the blueprint. While making the blueprint, we have to decide the final goal, final priorities, what are the stakeholder expectations are there. Next is something about the integrated. We might have done the all the SWOT analysis, we have done the all the kind of brainstorming, and we might have all the kind of data. So how we are going to integrate everything? And finally, decision has to made up in terms of the trade-off. So, for any kind of project charter, this is being always asked, make two, three kind of project charter, and this project charter is something always about one page or two page. But there may be a certain type of decision trade-offs are there. Okay, if this goes with the decisions, what can be a rational directions? What can be an optimal path? And this always something like a board meeting business case approval. We put it, and how this particular project charter or program charter has been presented to the board meeting, what kind of sort data you have done, what kind of analysis you have done, and what kind of blueprint you have done for the next 5 years. So what kind of pestle analysis you have done, which are the stakeholder mapping you have done, which are the influence you have taken care while making certain decisions. So this parameter is helping to making that kind of blueprint. Next, three words are something about the rallying, governance, and evolve. So rallying is something about the which are the stakeholder are there, whether we have considered those stakeholder in terms of the budget, in terms of the competency, in terms of the RACI matrix, in terms of the head count. So this is more about the people. Rallying is about the how we are engaging the peoples in this ecosystem. And next is the governance, how I am framing the entire governance section for this entire my project charter or blueprint. What are various KPIs I will decide for the quarterly plan, for the half yearly plan, for the 1 year plan, for 3 years, what can be the ROI I'm expecting, what kind of the risk I'm anticipating for next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So this has to be put under the governance framework. And finally, the structure approach, how it would be scaled. Let's say after 1 year, I'm targeting this milestone. After 2 years, I'm targeting this milestone. This will be a numbers. So everything has to be structured on all these parameters, and then final blueprint will be created. Now, the bridge model is something we are targeting very big kind of decisions. Like I said, key decision is to start a new plant of a let's say $1,000 million, and which will yield some new product in the market. So this is not a single decision. This always goes with the board kind of direction. But if you are a certain project director or you are a marketing director, and you have been asked to present the business case, and with this the normal thinking approach, okay, I have learned my project management, I have learned the program management area, and I have been asked. So we'll be clueless. How do we prepare this business case? What parameter I need to consider? What kind of various milestone needs to be understand? Maybe a MBA guy who have been gone through this, they have done this kind of various kind of project assignments. They can correlate this, but at the same time, this comes with the experience, because the industry experience, domain experience is required to frame this kind of particular blueprint, business case modeling uh, to be presented in terms of the board meeting. Because all these board meeting, they normally calls, okay, you show me a presentation for 5 to 10 slide, and what are various options you have been considered, and we have to run those 5 to 10 slides. But to prepare those 5 to 10 slides, what kind of thought process I should employ, what kind of research I should do, what kind of data, what kind of risk, if everything is not considered in a single landscape, things will not come on a larger scale, on the bigger scale, to be clubbed everything in the 5 slides. Right. So this bridge concept model help us to think that level when I need to put up some proposal, some business case to the board meeting, who are the making some sort of a very high stake decisions. Right. So this is about the bridge. This is again a theoretical concept, but this is giving a landscape about the thought process. When I need to make that kind of decisions, I need to put myself into that thought process. So which parameter it should be considered. The next model is about the Fordek model. this model normally used in the aviation industry, and this model is mainly used for the mm, retrospect on certain amount of let's say the accident happened. So investigation, how the investigation will place, how the questionnaire will be happen on the various stakeholders. Because this model is main doesn't go with the people. This model goes with the mainly on the data, facts, and evidence. So this Cordic numerology goes with the F stand for the fact, collect the independent sources data, verify the accuracy. Then it goes with the various options. What are the various ifs and buts, or if then options have been work it or not. So for this, let's take example. In any plant, one risk hazard has been happened, and a safety officer has to investigate the case, okay, how this has been done, and how the outcome has been concluded at the board level meeting. Okay, this is a similar kind of case. So this model help them to assess with respect to data, fact, not with the human angle. So as we take this particular example, the safety officer or whosoever are investigating that case, he will say, okay, I will check the fact, I will check all the ifs and buts option. If that's supposed to happen, why this is not option has been considered? If this would have been happened, what could go wrong? Uh, if anyway this has been happened, what are the risks? If this risk has happened, is there any benefit in terms of some gain, some calculations? So on the screen, I have just presented some sort of parameters which needs to be considered with respect to each letters. Then it comes to the verifications. So what decision I have to make based on the best option, risk benefit analysis, cost benefit analysis, any trade-off analysis with respect to the decisions. When it comes to the exhibitions, whether all the resi has been they're like in safety incident, there is always some panel is there. There is always some board who always gives their opinion, and those are the resi for that kind of incident. And always some budget is always been issued that kind of incident, and finally is a check. So in summary, this FORDEC is the model which mainly apply on the data and various data with respect to the various people. So as bridge model is making the blueprint, considering the people's involvement, considering the structural approach, and considering various element around the peoples, right? And the Fordek model gives you the fact, if I'm deciding uh, on the bridge model, how I should apply the product model for that hashtag environment. Like the new plant is supposed to be set up, so bridge model will help you to decide the blueprint, but product model will help us to decide in terms of the financial decisions. So if this particular plant is giving a revenue for next 5 years or not, what kind of competence is required to set up the entire ecosystem, what kind of market penetration will happen in next 10 years, what kind of progression we'll have to make. So if this particular framework apply at the both the time to make your blueprint, to make some sort of a business case, this is helping us to look at from the data point of view, not from the human angle point of view. The earlier bridge model will help us to think more from the human angle, and this product model is help us to keep away from the human emotions and mostly push us to think on the datas. And the combination of these two will help us to make a decision in very high stake environment, when the decision is not happening in a 1 day or 1 week or 1 week month time. This kind of decisions go longer for a 1 month time or for a quarter time, and this kind of business cases required really a lot of experience, lot of industry inside, and the structure approach to arrive at the making some presentation, making some decision, even if those board of directors they have gone through rigorous process of certain sort of coaching and certain sort of cases on their parameters, whether to go give a go or no go decision on this kind of go sort of to the board of meeting and move with this option. You have you considered option B, C or not? If this will happen, what can be done? Then there may be 4 5 iterations on that 5 page presentation itself, and then another meeting after 1 quarter, and then this goes on unless and until from the human angle, from the data angle, this is not get a consent from the all the buy-ins from the stakeholder. The decision doesn't make. Right. So this last model combination is not something for the day-to-day operations. This is something for the very high level of operations. Like the summary of this bridge and Fordec is something more about the people oriented, more about, and Fordec is more about the data oriented. Bridge is again, as I say, ki, this is more about the evolving in the loop. We have to, as the process has started, the blueprint has been approved, and slowly then you will apply the speed model. Then you will say ki, what are rate PPTs model are there. So this is mainly going with the people approach, building the ecosystem, and the other models like RAP model, Cordic model. These are mainly from the data point of view, where when the emotions are not there while making the decisions. Like if we say, if we put on the 2 by 2 matrix these two models, the bridge model is always the stakeholder buy-in and alignment. This, as it goes more towards the y-axis, it gives you okay, there is a too much alignment with respect to the peoples. And when there is a Cordic model, if you see on the x-axis, this always gives the cost of a failure or the risk, how it's going to be. If there is a low risk and the high alignment of the bridge, the decision will be always in sync. If this forward product model will go too much on the right side and the bridge model is too much on the downside, there will not be any decisions. So the attempt is made in this kind of situation. A bridge model will should always go higher and higher, and the product model which should always go to the low level. It should always go to the left, and the bridge model always should go low, high. So if this combination fit together, the decision will be made faster. And if there is a the very biasing, then this high stake decision will be never come to the conclusions. So just to summarize quickly, all these 4 models, when it's supposed to be applied, the first model, earn and rate fit model, is applied when your regular operations are happening, processes are established. So this combination has to be implemented, and the ecosystem between the senior level guy, junior level guy, and whosoever in the department, they has to be understand the expectation from the each other. So this is good for the simpler departmental operations. Procedural part is there, SOPs are there. So this is good for that kind of approach when we apply this earn and rate PPT. BRAP and WAM model is somewhere when there is a biasing in the opinions, there are the opinion conflicts, and there are the multiple stakeholders are there, and decisions are not coming to the conclusions. So wherein we can apply this, and again, this has to be laid down from the top, not from the bottom. If one person is just pushing, okay, I want to apply this, and other person buying not there, this will not work. So as a practitioner in the project management, those people who are seniors, they have to try to deploy this kind of approach in their department, in their organization. Okay, these are the structure approach are there already available somewhere, because this is not something I'm telling. Already some knowledge are available in the various project management literature, and from that only I have captured this. So this is not something we ourselves we are telling to people. All some literature data is already available, and people are somewhere this is being used. It's only matter ki we are not applying, we are not learning, and we are not practicing this kind of approach in our organizations. Third is something about the whenever there is no any benchmark available, something new we are trying, something new technology, new projects, bigger scale, we don't know how to approach, then speed and ODA model combination has to be applied. And lastly, as I said, when there's a very high stake, this last model is something for the very senior kind of peoples who needs to present some sort of a business case, or let's say ki any accidental happen in the manufacturing plant, or any, let's say, software technology, something new has to be initiated, a new product has to be launched. So how the business case has to be present, or if you are a decider who has been presented, so what kind of a thought process you would apply when this kind of decision would has to happen being three, four stakeholders. This is not for the one person. This is for the combination of the four, five people. But at the same time, this ecosystem, this stakeholder, they should understand. Okay, I need to think from this all four, five angles. I only need not to think from my own experience. My experience in this particular domain and this industry. This means this decision is correct. No, means these are all the standard structured framework has been there in the project management area. We have to learn this area, and we have to push ourselves to think ki whether we will apply, we learn, we apply, and we practice. If we doing this consistently, this will come in a thought process. Okay, this will not go, okay, I have learned this webinar, I have learned this, because I consciously also applying all these models. Whenever I come across certain situation, I just think, okay, which kind of combination I should put myself in the thought process. Should I think from the normal earn model, or should I think from the bridge model? Because this, in certain aspect, bridge model also help to give us the system thinking as we think about the three different layer. So if we know the structure, if we know the parameter, this is helping us to think us better. Right. So with this, I'll conclude this. So almost we are on the time now. So next 20-25 minutes, we will take a questions. So I will stop the screen sharing. Another, I have some fighting two, three different slides with the combination of the questions I have prepared for myself. But first, I will take a few audience questions. And if the time permits, for the sake of understanding, or for the sake of various context or explanation, two, three more slides are there. Maybe we can run away quickly. But this, I will take it after the question Q&A session. If the time permits, we will do this. Okay. So I'll stop the screen sharing now, or maybe I'll just take a 1 minute quick break. I'll just take water sip and I'll come back. So meantime, Renu, madam, what I would suggest, we'll request audience to hands up, maybe three, four, we can unmute, and we can go sequentially, and then we can have the interactive sessions. I'll just take a 1 minute quick break. I'll just take a water sip and I'll come back.
I hope you guys are finding this interesting. I have noted down one or two questions, so please hold on. I think there was one person. Let me just find out the name. Give me a moment. One person had raised his hand. Uh, okay, someone had raised it. Okay.
Yeah, we can continue, ma'am.
Yeah. I think there was one person, Prerna Parekh. If he wants to talk now, maybe,
Yes, we can
and
allow.
we can ask him.
Uh, just request to the audience, just raise your hand so that sequentially we can take those
Anyone
Q&A.
wants? Yeah.
So you can unmute, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Dinesh Thakur has raised his hand. Can we have Dinesh Thakur on the stage so that he can put his question? Sunil, Tushar, anyone from here? So, hello,
Hello.
Dinesh. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. It was a very nice session, Sir Mangesh. I didn't have that any question particularly to the session. I just missed out why that form was shared, that Google form was shared. So that was my only thing. So others can
Okay,
please ask. Yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Let
Uh,
me know, you have
I think
shared new form, right?
so. No, okay. I think you have not shared the responders link. You have shared the at Google Form link. So maybe you can resend it if you want it, or I can create. I've created a new form. I can do it.
Sorry.
Whatever you.
Just if it's there with me, is there any issue? Because I have checked in the morning, it was working. So I'm not sure
Okay,
why
no problem.
it is
I
active.
will share a. Okay, no problem. I'll share
Honestly,
my
I
form.
I
was
will
able
just
to access
share.
the form as well. So I opened the form, I was
Uh,
able to fill in the details, but I was just not clear what that form was for.
Okay. So
I have shared the link. Can you just somebody address means just check whether this work or not means whether you're able to submit or not. Because what I intended ki, let's say ki 10 15 queries will come. I will just summarize and then maybe I can structurally answer those. I have just pasted in the chat box now.
okay,
Can anyone just check and say respond to me?
okay. So yeah, there is a question. So I'll take one by one the question. Let's. There was a question from Akshit Pujari. For any situation, we need to use cause and effect approach, but higher management is only worried about immediate response, how to immediate result, how to convey them.
See, this is all corporate culture, right? Decisions are always expected you make faster decisions, but gradually being a junior guy you also need to understand ki, okay, what kind of data I'm providing and always provide the recommendation on the trade-off. Let's say ki, this is the situation, this is the data I have, and these are the one or two options, and out of three options this is the recommended recommendation from my end. When you are giving the recommendations, this means you are taking the accountability for the decisions. But if you are saying ki these three options and you suggest me, means here itself we are trying to behave ki you make a decision for me. I am not responsible for the decisions. When we practice ourselves, okay, out of these decisions okay for me, and I'll go with these decisions. Means I'm taking the accountability, and this will help ourselves itself. When we grow in the organization, we gradually take a responsibility of owning our own decisions. This is not something about the culture. And if there is an organization culture says we have to build up that ecosystem around the department around this, and that's why we are here in some kind of forum to understand, to learn what are various kind of approaches people use in the different kind of industries, right? So to answer your questions, I would only say ki understand, apply, and at a junior level, if you are there as a giving it too much of inputs to the bosses level, try to have practice, have data. If you are not doing attempt or you are not authorized to even attempt that particular decisions, think from what kind of various options are there, and then suggest the opinion. I will go with this recommendation. This will help you yourself to be accountable for the decisions. Means you are not allowing your bosses to say, okay, you give me decisions. And if you keep growing this way, bosses will start trusting you. Okay, this guy is having issue. He comes with the options, and he also owns some sort of decisions. He want to take it.
Thank you. That was a good answer. One thing, another question was is raised by Anuj Tiwari. He mentions that how can we plan better if we share the resources with mainstream business, that is with vendor capacities for products or consumables in aftermarket demand planning, which model to follow and be a winner in aftermarket.
Okay, this is a long question. Let me comprehend myself how this question could be. So there, the narrative could be a resource constraint among the three, four departments, and you are working in one department, and maybe there be a three, four resources are shared among, and you have to make a decisions, right? So I conclude this question this way. So maybe whosoever asked, just make a thumbs up what I understood that way. So accordingly, I'll
I
answer.
think this question was from Anuj Tiwari. Yeah, he has replied. Yeah.
Anuj Tiwari. Okay. So Anuj, so what I summarize this key, maybe at a departmental level, there are the shared resources, and there is always a scarcity about the resources, and people are fighting for the resources, right? So and there are always a blaming game कि ये नहीं हुआ है वो नहीं हुआ है. So in this kind of situation, this RAM and WAP model is always help. So let's say कि you are sitting in some monthly review meeting and you says कि I have these three priority and these four resources have a allocation with respect to the monthly schedule. So
So
maybe
the
you yourself has to decide कि out of these three priorities, these two priority are too much important with respect to the schedule cost, and one priority maybe you can trade off because in the organization we always face this resource scarcity and we cannot have the abundance कि okay चलो ठीक है तुम्हारे पास 10 काम दे दिए हैं 5 लोग हैं आराम से करो. This will never happen because this is the practical way we have to do, and that's why people who goes up they are a decision maker because they have to think कि what is the risk in making decision A and what is the trade-off or making a decision B. So always go with the data, always go with the rational approach कि present your report to the senior levels कि okay these three tasks has been planned in the month, these two resources are there, if one resource is not working this activity will not be done, and if this is not done what can be approach. Maybe yourself you say कि I can put my 20% of time to support the scarcity of that person, or maybe another department can we have another resources for 50% of timeline so that we can accommodate. The recommendation should go from our end, and although recommendations going and the impact has been shown, okay, if this is not done, this is the risk. So at a paper level, we are clear कि whatever the impact is going to happen, what
sorry,
is
your voice was breaking. Sorry, your voice is
supposed to happen.
breaking.
You would be
Yeah.
blamed कि okay, you hello,
Yeah, yeah.
now it's clear.
Yeah, a little better. And one thing Anuj Tiwari did mention
Okay,
that
okay.
his question was more specific to vendor capacities, and so that question was more for that vendor capacity as well.
So Anuj, maybe if we correlate the questions properly, the vendor scarce, I mean, resource scarcity will be always there in the organizations. There will be always fight for the resources, and the decisions will be always blame game. So from your point of view, it's always recommendations. Have a assessment on the data point, have a trade-off on the risk, and this data point and trade-off it always needs to be circulated in the form of report. That's what I would recommend to you now.
That answers your question, Anuj, or you would like to speak more about it directly? We can bring you on the mic. Okay, answered. So thanks, Mangesh. Let's move to the one last question from Dhaval Shah. How can we decide for weightage in case of WASP model? Which stakeholders need to take into consideration for weightage?
Okay. Let's take a similar example of what we discussed, the vendor selections and the four department and the three vendors. Let's take a similar example. So if that particular application is the product development is something very crucial in terms of the engineering application. So maybe unanimously we can think of the four people ki engineering should have been given a 60% weightage and rest three people can be 15%. Can be one approach. Maybe we can say ki all four people will be 25% approach. Maybe there is a big logistic involvement is there, and that is the prime importance with respect to the strategic kind of stuff, means in terms of the cost, in terms of the resources. If that is the parameter, maybe logistic guy may be given a more importance in terms of the percentage weightage. Okay. So that is the combination, and it's supposed to be agree among all the people. It's not supposed to be dominance of the one particular department. We have to say ki this is to be given importance because of this nature of the decisions. Okay. There can be a combination, let's say, ki out of three projects, which project has to be start first? Like the scarcity we have said, like Anuj has asked the scarcity about resources. The similar kind of concept we can apply. Ki these are the three tasks, and these are the four peoples who needs the resources. And then, with respect to the three tasks, what is the trade-off risk? If this has to be a escalation to the customer, okay, we can go ahead. The percentage can be given more. If risk is lower, percentage can be given less. So combination of the rows and column is up to us how we are deciding, whether we are deciding with the people or whether we are deciding with the objective of that particular nature. If we want to remove the biasing of the people, let's say if I want to remove the biasing of the people, what I will put on the column side, I'll put some strategic approach. Strategic approach is something against the vendor. I'll say ki quality of the product should be important for me, 50%. Transition up from the location A to B is not too much important, 20%. Then cost is, maybe I would say ki purchase guy say ki cost is too much important, maybe 30%. So the column can be anything. Percentage weightage can be given anything. But that whatever the matrix we are framing, it has to agree among all the peoples first. And this is the ecosystem, because this is not something one people is driving. Maybe that framework needs to be presented to the HODs of that particular division, who says, "Okay, okay, we'll go with this kind of framework." He approves, and then this kind of decision will happen.
Okay, thank you so much, Mangesh. We have two more questions. One is from Mandar Panchal, a very interesting question. In function type organization, all functions them have their own priorities, and as a project manager, what is best way to align all functions towards the project? And the second question he has also raised, how to deal situations where you are answerable to customer and higher management, but all power lies with functions which are not getting involved in customer meetings and project review meetings.
Okay. We will raise the second question because this is a day-to-day topic for us also. So,
Yes.
see, whenever you are responsible for the front-end customers, and decisions are supposed to made by the your higher ups. Okay, this is the situations. And customer is calling you day and day out, okay, you are not submitting report is not there, and all those stuffs. The first of all, when you are meeting to the customers, let's set up the some sort of a inorganic understanding with the communications. Okay, I will submit this, I will help you out this, and at certain amount of a threshold, if this is not working internally, you also need to be have a courage to escalate the things with that wrap model. What I'm saying ki, okay, one particular project is going on 3 months, you have been supporting the customer, and after 3 months you start finding the scope is delayed, budget is out of control, a certain milestone is not achieved. So maybe during the monthly review meeting or half yearly review meeting, you might have been given the just a summary to the your higher ups, but that summary would not be, because the culture, as you're saying, ki, only you are facing and your higher ups are not supporting to address the customer. So internally, if two or three times you have reported, and that report has to be structured way, not the verbal way. We started, that report has to be structured way. Okay, this is the data, this is the complaint. If this complaint is not addressed, this can be a risk, and this can be a trade-off for this. I have done this attempt. I have emailed this customer. I have submitted this report, and still this is not being addressed. I want your help, right? Even after this is not happening, so informally you have always given the escalation part to the customer, right? You always said, okay, certain decisions are not in my control. I have supported you, whichever decisions we can take, and then you have always the opportunity to the next step. But at the same time, be cautious. When that guy will call to your bosses, he should not say ki, I have this guy have not done this, which suppose you are supposed to do. Means if you have not followed step 1 to 3, and you have directly escalated for the step 4, that customer will call your bosses higher ups, and he says ki yaar step 1 to 3 nahi hua hai and I'm calling for your step 4. No, you have to be assured ki you have done your all best effort, you have done step 1 to 3, you have provided all the stuff, and still the decision which is supposed to happen is not in your decision boundary or your decision criteria, and you have also informed to the bosses ki okay, this will come, this escalation will come, and you would need to answer. And the same time offline, this goes with the trust equation with your bosses ki okay, whatever you are telling to your bosses ki okay, how much he trusts you, because as I say ki as you grow in the organization, perception build your credibility. Every time if you are coming with the escalation without any data, he will always say यार बंदा फिर से आ गया, इसके पास कुछ नहीं है, वो बंदा मुझे फोन करेगा. बट इफ यू बिल्ड अप दैट क्रेडिबिलिटी कि ही विल हैव कॉन्फिडेंस, ओके इसने कस्टमर को 3 बार संभाला होगा, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, इसलिए नाउ इट हैज बीन एस्केलेटेड, and then he will be prepared and he will have trust on it, and he will back you with his decisions. Okay, something must not be working within your control, that's why he has to act. But to act him, you first need to have a good trust equation in your bosses.
So, okay. I think you lost it. Mangesh, we are not able to hear you, Mangesh. Mangesh, we are not able
Again,
to hear
not
you. Uh-huh.
okay.
Hello?
I will again reframe. Hello,
Yeah, go
now
ahead.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come to closer to the laptop. So I'll again restart say answering the same question. The question is something he asked. My bosses are not supporting, and the customer is keep escalating. Right? This is the context. So what in the organization, in the corporate world, we all knows about the office politics. We all knows the manipulation. We all know the different personalities. But as a executive thought process, um, as a good what I say leadership style, the first approach is something address the customer within your capacity, within your responsibility range. One, two, three step you are supposed to do. You have done that, and then you are incapable of moving forward next. Then informally you have to always approach your higher ups and you says, "Ki I have done step 1, 2, 3, and now step 4 is not in my control or okay." If bosses okay, there can be escalations, you have apply proper wrap model, or you have apply properly earn model, you have provided data, you have provided the impact, you have provided the risk also. When the customer calls him, he will be always aware okay, this is been done there, and now he has to support, right? But if you go without step 1, 2, 3 and escalation come, boss will fire you कि boss तूने ये पहले 1, 2, 3 किया क्यों नहीं, and then your credibility will be in question then. So always apply the earn model, have a evident data, because we are living in the corporate world. We have to always balance the data and the people emotions. For the people emotions, there are various kind of trust model are there, various emotional regulations are there, but at the same time, we have to balance the reporting structure, data structure, the approach, how we are approaching to the customer, approach how we are going back to the our own senior management, they how they perceive us in terms of our credibility as our so it all depends, and that's why we project management people's we learn so many skills as we go upwards. We have to learn this. This will not comes naturally. This is not comes with the just with your own experience. We have to learn various certifications. We have to go various kind of coaches. They keeps helping us, because in a one way, one directions we don't learn, right?
Yeah, and Mangesh, there is one last question from Jay Prakash Maurya. I'll just take this last one. How we would manage vendor if there are fail to satisfy client requirement?
Okay. See, there are always contractual clauses are there. Means if in this case you have to always take a help of the contractual clause, right? The contractual clause is defect of liability, warranty terms, LDs, all the purchase guys who are there, they knows uh, what contractual clause has to happen. And now, as a project manager, it comes to the giver thought process. How do we put this particular failure as a data in the process? Right. So one particular vendor is badly failed to deliver to one customer. As a project manager, what kind of options you have? Because as a PM, you have to satisfy the customer. Then maybe another vendor you can deploy at certain cost, and that cost has to be some additional budget requirement. How do you present that budget requirement to the your higher ups for the approval? And with some kind of proposal, okay, this vendor has been failed, the another vendor is there. If this vendor has been deployed, we will take this effort and this will be delivered. Maybe customer will not be happy within 1 month, but at least effort has been made. And then next time in the process, you will always have an input. Okay, you discard the vendor A, always attempt vendor B and C for their development. Okay, because this is not something a one time of decisions. Some decisions will go wrong. But as I said from the beginning, whatever the wrong decision is resulted, there is always a failed data. As a professional, as a leader, we have to always read that failed data. What kind of input I take from the failed data for my own improvement, for my process improvement, for my better decision making improvement. Once failed doesn't mean our approach is wrong. We have to just keep our approach better and better from the failed decisions.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this was interesting. Thank you so much. And with the interest of time, I think Mangesh, we had noted down some questions in the last one, in our last meeting. So
Just
maybe
let me
you
check
can,
the. I will just refresh the form. So
yeah.
just let me check the form first.
And I have also shared your LinkedIn profile, so users
Okay.
might attendees might get connected with you directly as well for their questions, for their doubts and everything. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, and I think we are already overdone by 10 minutes. So maybe
The
the questions
form
you
will
had
be
framed.
live. Maybe you can keep the form.
Yeah, okay, sure. I
No, I
will,
said
if
ki,
any,
let the form live for one day or 2 days.
yeah, yeah, you
So
can
people
keep it.
maybe think of later and they can go back to the form and
Yes, yes. If you want, you can share the link
okay.
as well again one more time. So
It's the
that's
same
okay.
thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other questions which we had discussed, for the last time, so maybe you can combine the session, both the sessions question and prepare the note and we can circulate it for everyone.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Fine.
And quick thing, thank you first of all. Okay, thank you. So the next thing, that was really wonderful session. I would say thank you so much, Mangesh, for clarifying lot of doubts on. And I mean, I never knew so many models were there for decision making personally. So this was really eye opener for me as well. Thank you so much. Now. So for this wonderful session, please accept our certificate of appreciation, Mangesh. We will be sharing the PDF document with you in a short while. Um, and again, once again, I thank you and the attendees. I would thank all of my technical support. Sunil Tushar is over here, who is giving us, all required support over here. Mr. Amod is uh, also helping us out. And yes, I see a lot of questions in the chat box for the PDUs. So just one thing I would like to clarify, that currently that earlier we mentioned that there is some the PDUs will be auto credited, but there is some technical problem. So we have already sent the mail for regarding the PDU of our past sessions as well. And for this session also, in this coming week, we will be sharing the PDU code. So please keep a note on your inbox. Also check your spam folder so that you will be getting the PDU code and you can apply it yourself manually. So even for the past sessions, we have already sent it. So please do check it in the inbox. Okay. And yes, the feedback is already shared. Link is already shared. If you want, you can scan the QR code as well. And please, I do see all the thumbs up and all, but it would be great helpful that if you put these feedback in the link provided, or you can scan the QR code so that when we are collating this information, we can have a good data on this. Okay. And the last one is, of course, you. Thank you so much for being a lovely audience for us today. If you have any queries, you can reach out to me at my email address, professionaldevelopment@pmimumbai.chapter.org. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mangesh. Once again, thank you, everyone. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
yes, there is one question, Hriday. Yes, so I forgot to mention this point that we will this all these recordings are uploaded on our YouTube channel, PMI Mumbai chapter. So please, if you have missed anything, please go on our YouTube channel and you can review the session once again. Thank you. Jai Prakash, the PDU code will be, the steps are given when we are sending the email. So you how to apply the PDU code. So you can go through the steps from the mail. That helps, Jai Prakash. You that we have already given the steps. Okay. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to put it everything on the feedback form. Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
I
So
think we'll close the session.
form is live. So whosoever want to go to the form and put the questions, all appreciated. So maybe during week time, I will have some food for my brain to answer those questions.
Yeah, and maybe you can combine both the sessions,
Yes.
questions, and send it across. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye bye.
Bye.